Cloud column ඔබගේ මඟ පෙන්වන්නේ මුළු cloud ලෝකේ නව පහන් එකතු කර
Welcome back to
Cloud
Cloud Collo.
Collo.
Today we're going to talk about something interesting, something that is not out of the box, but you need to think out of the box to
Yeah.
configure this.
Mm.
So today's topic is going to be very interesting, and we're going to explain and explore the
Yeah.
concept of landing zone architectures in cloud
Yep.
computing. Now, what is cloud computing landing zone? Sorry, the question was, what is
What
landing
is
zone
landing zone?
in
Yeah.
cloud computing?
So, yeah, a landing zone, if we take it in a simple manner, it's kind of a plan.
Yeah.
So you have the base before you develop a house, right? You
Yeah.
have that plan and you put on a base. So basically, a landing zone is, if you take it simply, it's a plan, but it has its own like security components, compliance components, and how it's designed on like how your workloads are deployed, and like there's a lot of thinking and planning going into it,
Going into it.
but it's basically a plan.
So basically, I think when you says landing zone, if you look it up on Google, it will, like no one explain. It's a plan before you. It's like a blueprint,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can also call it as a boilerplate that is used to
Design and
design
plan.
and architect your accounts, like your cloud providers account and stuff.
Yes.
And like if you talk about why is landing zone an important one, what is the crucial part for this one? Like why is it important for landing zone?
So the importance is it's around like it's very important to deploy and plan before you go into cloud, because you need to think about security. You need to think about how to govern your infrastructure and the applications that you put into it. You need to think about scalability and flexibility, right? And then you need to think about especially compliance.
Yeah. So those are, I think, the pillars of this landing zone, right? The
Yeah,
security,
those are the
four
basic
pillars:
pillars. Yeah, the base.
the security, governance, and the scalability, compliance. And like I think when he says compliance, one I heard about the one you told about GDPR, like the
Yeah, the
general
Europe, the I don't remember the exact one. General data processing, data protection
general data protection regulation.
regulations. Yeah, that's for the Europe countries. So basically, like if you process data of like Europe citizens and stuff, you need to be compliant in GDPR. Otherwise, if something goes wrong and the data gets leaked or anything happens, then they can come and like put a low case, and then
They'll be
you
like
will be
either
fined like
sue you.
millions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you look up on the I think cases about this, you will find
Yeah, you'll
heaps.
find one like there were like few older cases, but now a lot of companies are actually into GDPR, and a lot of companies are actually compliant when it comes to GDPR. And you have HIPAA for health regarded details, and you have PCI DSS, and there's like ton of compliance certifications that you can get regarding these ones.
Yeah, and also I think we will put some links on the bottom for the interesting cases.
Yeah.
I think TikTok had a one for
Hmm.
12.7 million, which
Okay.
was a GPE.
Yeah.
And another one was, I think, the one I saw was the Meta had a one, Amazon had for like,
Yeah, because they have data for like these Europe citizens, right? So yeah, there will be like tons of ones.
and Uber had like for 290 million euros. So
Okay.
think about how much, if you're not concerned about this
Yeah, be
compliance,
compliant.
the compliance is the easiest way to save your money and big money
Yeah, that's
to
true.
keep your boss happy. So the next one is like, what are the popular landing zone architectures, Machan? Like you told me several things, but if you could,
Yeah, so the most popular one is the hub and spoke.
Yeah.
So basically, you have a hub, which is the middle part, which controls your security, your data, and stuff like that. And then you have multiple spokes, which is like connected to the hub, but it's spread out.
Yeah.
So each hub will contain its own application or service or anything like that. but the hub is the one who's like actually managing everything, and he's the boss. So that's one architecture. And if we talk about like a simpler one, which is the multi-account one.
Yeah.
So multi-account architecture is like, so you have a account to manage and deploy the production stuff separately, and you have the testing one separately, and you have the dev separately. So the development happens in one account, and then they take it and push it to the test account, and then you do your testing, and then you put it to the production.
Production.
So it has different layers, and the developers will not have full access to the production one, and so you have that segregation between the layers.
Yes, and I think the one that we missed to talk about was what are the key components of landing zone architecture, right? There are like few components that is considered and need to be
Yeah.
need to be considered. What are
Yeah.
those ones? So the one I think we will need to talk about is either control
Yeah, so if we talk about those things, you have the control plane. So that is the one who's like actually you think about how you manage your components, your services, and your network architecture, and that's how you manage it. And then the network infrastructure comes into the picture. So that's where you think about how each components talk to each other.
Yeah.
And your security part, the firewalls and those things also come into that place. And then platform services. So we talked about a lot of services which cloud providers provide you, right?
Yeah.
So you have databases, storages, and other services, right?
There's so many things to when if we talk about this in detail, there will be like
there will ton of services,
ton of
right?
services, and we don't have enough time to talk about
Yeah.
that.
And then you have the landing zone, application landing zones. So you have each application divided, which is like doing its own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, those will be the separate levels. Yeah.
And let's talk about this. What are the benefit of using landing zone architecture? Like, what are things? I think you told us about the
Yeah,
benefits.
we basically talked about it, right? With its security, compliance, efficiency, right? And the cost part, right? So when you deploy landing zone, you will know, like, you can put policies saying that okay, only these kind of services can only be deployed,
Yeah.
these type of virtual machines, and these are the regions that we can deploy into. So that will actually help you to manage your costs. And then we talk about scalability, flexibility.
Yeah.
You can like scale up,
Man,
scale
there's
down.
so many things, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, so the landing zone architecture is really important when we talk about cloud computing.
Yeah.
So, and there's something called well architected. So that comes into the picture when we are designing the landing zone. So we need to design the landing zone under that well architected framework.
Yeah.
Basically.
cool. I think we covered most of this introduction part for landing zone. Next video we're going to be interesting one. So no one promised me that he's going to show us on screen on
Yeah.
hands-on how to deploy landing zone in Azure.
Yeah.
And so next one is going to be pretty much
hands-on video on
hands-on
how
video
to deploy a
deployed on
simple landing zone.
And since we started this video on this landing zone, make sure you subscribe our channel and watch our videos. This is
Like, comment if you have any questions.
questions. And the next video going to be the interesting one, which we're going to be real hands-on experience putting a landing zone up on Azure. And then we'll talk about on AWS how to deploy a landing zone.
Yeah.
For now, that's all for today, and
Yeah.
that's a wrap. And
We'll see you.
make sure subscribe.
Yeah.